The UFL Gambling Podcast Week 3 reaction show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up at Underdog Fantasy and use our promo code TCESGPN to get up to $1,000 in bonus credits. And yes, they do have CFL action, so hop on over there and let it ride.
This is Brian Bosworth, a.k.a. The Boz, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, brother. Peace out. Boz out.
Is this or is this not the XFL? Yes, it is. Do I or do I not currently have a pulse? Yes, I do. Let's play football.
Welcome to the UFL Gambling Podcast. Yes. Another week in the books as week 3 comes to a close. And guess what? They got a week 4 scheduled, so we're going to talk about that. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Hey, it's a little bit of scoring. What happened? Little shot of scoring there in this league.
Yeah,
A little bit. Not the best. Not the best gambling weekend from old Pick Dundee here in the United Football League, where crossroads meet bullshit. We have not the greatest week, and I look. I'm a spring guy through and through. Not the greatest week, but I was weary of one game. Damn it! I should have stuck to my guns on it. I am joined by my co-host. You've heard him on the Bottom Line Bombs podcast, which you should be subscribed to. Some know him, the Masters. He just hit some major cash over there. Some know him as Scumbagger Vance. Some know him as the Bet Detective. Give it up for the great CJ Sullivan. How are you, buddy?
all right, not a bad weekend. Good to be here. We were just talking some numbers. We like to check in the inventory of the UFL numbers. In honor of Tax Day, they smudge them around a little bit. Things are, I believe, are moving around attendance-wise, stats-wise. But like I said, yeah, there was definitely some overs. I said zig and zag. You mocked my face when I gave out a few overs last week because the unders were hitting so well.
I took 2 overs. I just took the wrong. Actually, right. I took. Well, one of them was a terrible play. We are also joined by
the one under we loved went way over. I would say that.
And that's when I flipped on too.
Yeah.
We are also joined by the host of the Old Fashioned Football Podcast, which you should be subscribed to, because I'm gonna fucking jump on that show tomorrow night. You're gonna lose some numbers on that one. But give it up for Justin Mark, aka No Turn J Mark. How are you, pal?
Well, you know what? 0-4 ATS. We all need a little humbling moment now and then. I got mine. I did tweet out some props though on the old Twitters or X, whatever you want to call it, and plus 7 units from that at least. So at least there was something.
Oh, that's great. You and Aaron Dolan tweeting out your ESPN bet props sheets there for everybody.
That's right.
Shout out to John. And by the way, youtube.com/@UFL Gambling Pod. Hop on over there, hit the like and subscribe button. John, they're at work slinging pizzas. Listening to you guys helps the day go by. There we go.
Out in Youngstown, Ohio. He's checking in from Youngstown, Ohio. We met him in Vegas. A good shout out to the Youngstown.
Nice.
Youngstown pizza.
Yeah, hell of a guy. They need a fucking team. All right. Actually, let's start off with that news because I'm disappointed. Guys, okay. I'm disappointed. Right? I'm disappointed every week on this damn show. So they decided to do the Freedom Cup, the championship to the UFL where crossroads meet bullshit at the St. Louis Dome again. Yeah. Fantastic. Last year the numbers weren't great because St. Louis didn't make the game, but there's hope that they can make it this year because they're bringing it back there. Major fail by the league to me. Should be in Canton. I thought the USFL gave us a great blueprint on how to do that thing at Canton Pro Football Hall of Fame, Tom Benson Stadium there. I'm bummed out a little bit. Bet Detective, I know you're a Battle Dome guy. You go over there. You like to feed the Hawks over there. What do you make of this news?
I see both sides of it. I see why they would want it to be in St. Louis. I mean, St. Louis is obviously their number one fan base, where the showing is great every week, and they have an absolute fan base. Now, is that for a thirst for St. Louis football, or is that for thirst for football in general? You kind of saw when St. Louis did not make the championship game. It kind of makes me feel like in the back of my mind, they're going to do everything they can to make sure St. Louis does get to the game this year, they can fill out the championship. I know, right? Now we can get a nice dip on them after DC smoked them on Sunday night. So that being said, but yeah, Canton is a great call. It should be in a neutral spot, a place for football, but they're trying to you got the Rock. They're trying to glamorize anything they can on TV. So I don't know. But
plus 270 on the Battlehawks right now.
Plus 270. That's a good, much better price than it was last week for sure. But yeah, they're going to get there. You can tell that's all. That's what that news alerted me, that they're not going to mess this one up. They're going to make sure they get to the championship game.
We'll see. We got a lot to talk about. Let's start with these games. But J Mark, what do you make on that the Battle Dome again? I know it's a short drive from you on that lawnmower of yours. What are you doing here? What do you think of it?
Yeah, no, as soon as they announced it, I said to the wife, I said, maybe we go to St. Louis on 6/14. And she went, huh.
Yeah.
So, not sure how that's going to work out for me from that response.
It's a tough sell.
Yeah, if they're not going to pick a neutral site, why not just do it for the home team? I know there's some logistical issues there, like
what are you talking about? It's graduation season, J Mark. You can't just pop up a championship game for a league there.
Touche. But no, it should be a neutral site. I don't like them picking a place where one of the teams plays.
John could bring some pizzas over there.
I just thought of a genius idea. You're right. The wife, the people don't want to go to St. Louis for any kind of town like that. But
don't they lead the country in murder rate right now?
How about Branson, Missouri, as a nice location? You know what I mean? It's a destination. You got there's some fun to do. You go to Yakov Smirnoff's Comedy Club. You can do all kinds of things out there. But it's also close to St. Louis for that fan base in Missouri. A lot of it's in general. It's not actually in St. Louis, but you'll get some people there. I think Branson, Missouri. That's where I'd vote for.
I mean, I just think I have a hard time believing that it's hard to get a stadium. Like Frisco, Texas is always available. I feel like we've watched every form of football in Frisco, Texas. How much are they charging for June? They can't be charging that much. You know what I mean? Like there's so many damn football stadiums in the country. We really got to do this? What are they giving them free? Is it just a free thing? Maybe they're just doing it for free. Battle Dome.
The Battle Dome. I mean, it's the crowd there. They get drunk, like I said.
But no one went to it last year.
Oh, they're very disappointed in that choke job versus the Brahmas.
They had still purchased the tickets, though, I believe, even though they didn't go. So
that's how they get
sold the tickets.
That's how they get you.
They cooked the books. That's the numbers. That's why there was 38,000 reported there last week.
Let's just let me see if I can load up this again.
Coming with his photographic evidence, coming with receipts, like it's a true crime podcast.
They said 32.
Trying to promote the league. Crying out loud! You're coming.
What was that number they said at the Battle Dome? 32,000.
Yeah, 32,000 people. Why not?
And, had our friend Michael Barker, College Football Campus Tour in the house as he was attending the Frozen Four. I saw. Shout out to Michael. Great guy. But he went to the game and, he published some stuff and sent over some good work because I don't know if I'm buying into 30,000. But, I mean, look, it is a big stadium.
I need a time and clock on that. I agree with Nick Fortune here. This is fake news. This is an AI picture. I'm not buying any of this stuff.
You can follow him on Twitter at CFB Campus Tour. He published a bunch of these. They just don't. I'm not buying in that this is
getting kicked out of colleges. Crying out loud.
And here's how I know it's bullshit. It's not necessarily this photo. It's the fact that the tweet for attendance from Mike Mitchell, who covers the league, by the way, he says, well, Birmingham had 10,126 lies. right? Did you watch that fucking game?
Why are we trusting Mike Mitchell?
Yeah, why are we bringing
I don't know.
Mike Mitchell's
Well, I mean, he's just someone up there that covers this attendance shit on a weekly basis. I have no idea if he's pumping these numbers. What you think he's working for The Rock, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, he's got Memphis at 4,753, Michigan at 11,000. Bullshit, by the way. This is what I'm saying. They cook the books over here. They cook these books to make it seem better. They give away a bunch to an elementary school here, elementary school there, and then say, well, we sold over, 32,000 fans up in the Battle Dome there. Yeah, that's what we've been kicking ass when no one really went to the games. Are you buying any of these numbers? Which one are you most likely to buy?
They're saying 30. They're saying 30,000 last week there. Despite a competing St. Louis Cardinals game at the same time and an evening MLS match at Energizer Park Sunday night. They came there.
What number are you buying, though? You buying Birmingham at 10,000, CJ?
No, I think there was about 83 people at the Birmingham game. That's what I counted.
Memphis at the Liberty Bowl. It says 4,753. Seems kind of honest. I mean, I don't think there was that many people there, but at least they're throwing out if they're cooking the books here, they're not cooking this one. They could have said 10,000, just like Birmingham.
Yeah.
47.53. I think that might be the one that I trust more if you're including all the people working in the parking and concessions. Michigan, 11,013. You're buying that number, Bet Detective?
Michigan, like I said, I buy because that stadium fills like 70,000 people. So it's going to look empty no matter what. Now, we've all done shows before that. Like, 50 people inside of a club that fits 400 looks terrible. Looks like it's like completely empty when they're scattered about, But if you jam them in a little park, then it looks good. So, yeah, Memphis, I believe, accurately. Michigan, I believe. St. Louis, okay, they might have cooked a little bit, but they still showed up for it. Birmingham,
Birmingham, they just completely cooked these books.
Complete disaster. That was just gross.
J Mark, which one do you think out of all of those is the most cooked?
It's got to be Birmingham. I had that on Friday night. My folks were here. My dad was watching it, and he says, "Not a lot of people there, are there?" It's like, no, there are not.
Man,
let me.
J Mark's dad,
let me pour you a drink.
Fresh out of the hospital, and J Mark's making him watch the Birmingham Arlington game on Friday night. Good Lord. He probably checked himself back in.
I didn't want him to get too excited, He's got to take it easy.
Yeah, Doc says you can't get too excited. That was a perfect game to show him then. No excitement here.
Well, I know that. Bring the cold, but
all right. Enough of these. Enough of this propaganda with them pushing these crazy numbers of.
But they said
it remind me of
got a 1.2 million watch it. They said at its peak value. They're on TV.
Maybe that's right. Like the Sunday.
That
golf is on.
I mean, I believe the number, but I believe the number, like I believe any ratings number. I don't believe any TV ratings numbers. That I believe is all a sham. I mean, they still viewed by the Nielsen ratings, for crying out loud. Like, who has a
that
Nielsen
is true
in their house? Like,
that is true.
What is this? 1975? What are we talking about?
It is true. Like, I forget what podcast I was listening to is explaining what you got to do to get a Nielsen box. Like you got to send it in or something. It's
insane.
They're so backdated on this shit.
Dave Matola, by the way, who says the Roughnecks killed his DraftKings account. Time to go back to betting WWE. I will have a WrestleMania breakdown on the Bottom Line Bombs tomorrow, 1:00 Pacific, live, 4:00. And I have an expert coming in who does the number one wrestling podcast. He's going to be there at WrestleMania in Vegas this weekend. So we're going to lock it in.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. There we go. Check out the Bottom Line Bombs podcast, folks.
And I'm not jump into. I know some of the script writers, literally.
Yeah. They cook the books in a different way there, right?
Yeah, they sure do.
I got slides, youtube.com/@UFL Gambling Pod. Hop on over there. The slide master is at work. We had a classic on Friday night as the Stallions proving that they're the greatest team in the history of spring football with a great false start when they needed it. They won 10-9 against the Arlington Renegades in classic, classic Stallion form. They, anytime the odds are stacked against them, even by their own team, they battle through that adversity and they find a way to win this game. Now, I took the over.
What a dynasty.
I ate a pile of shit. I laid the points. I ate a pile of shit. So I was off to a terrible weekend.
You can't win
in UFL action. But guys, one thing that was not a gimmick. I know Birmingham looked like shit. Actually, both these teams look like shit, in my opinion. But if you look, Birmingham moved the ball way better than Arlington. They just didn't get points all game. Like they were the better team statistically. And I felt like they did more in the actual game. They just kept fucking up. But I mean, a 4th and 1, they got plugged.
The fourth one plugged. They fumbled going over the goal line, but they only had 223 yards before the last drive of the game. They had the ball for 10 minutes less. Let's not say they dominated this game. Arlington looked like the better team. They looked more inspired, that's for sure. Now, granted, they should have scored more points. They blew their opportunity.
I was about to say. I mean, they got in the red zone. I think. Was it 6 times?
Listen, both teams failed opportunities, but Birmingham's last drive was 71 yards. That's 30% of their total yards for the game. But that false start call, let's just start and end right there. This is insane. Like they say, like in baseball, you're likely to go to the ballpark and see something you've never seen before in the history of the game or in your life. Same thing with the UFL, but it's with a rule. It's a rule you've never heard of, that you never even thought of. Either you have to punt the ball between the hashes. You can now challenge a penalty on yourself. Wait a minute. I think
it's under 6 minutes, which I didn't even realize. Why 6 minutes?
Under 6 minutes. And
I never heard of some shit like that.
It's supposed to be a super challenge. Even Holtz didn't know you're supposed to do that. So the ref stepped in. Don't worry, we'll handle it. We'll challenge it for you.
They say that's a thing though.
How is they've been doing this? It should have been a dead ball. That's crazy.
Oh, no. I'm just saying. I'm just saying that.
I can see the super challenge. Hey, maybe there was a holding on the net. You can't just say, hey, none of this should have happened. Like, what are you talking about? They blow it dead.
But it was a false start.
So they're challenging on themselves.
Well,
it wasn't a false start because they didn't call it. That's fucking crazy.
Well,
that's
it was a false start. But yes.
That's what a false start is. A false start is when it gets
He jumped early. He did jump early, man. Like, he did jump early. Now, the refs missed it.
Right.
But he did jump early.
The best part, the comedic effect of that, though, was so he throws the interception on the play. Game-sealing interception. It's over. Then they do the ridiculous challenge themselves. Okay, you get the ball back, fourth and 11. And the guy who picked it off, he's sitting there with the turnover hat on, the huge Burger King Country Western Arlington colored Renegade hat on. And they're telling him, like, we have to take the hat off. That didn't count, and you got to get back on the field because it's 4th and 11. And he throws a hissy fit. He's like, "What? No, I got the hat. I got the pick. We won." Like, no, it's not like that. And so he wouldn't take the hat off, and he didn't go back on the field. I mean, he was just a starting cornerback who just got the pick. And then they converted, drive all the way on the field, score, win the game, and he still has a damn cowboy hat on.
One of the things that stood out in this game, that was hilarious, by the way, but both these teams can't run the ball. I am a little paranoid on Birmingham. So Arlington, I think, had 23 rushes for 74 yards, 3.2 yards a rush. Birmingham, if you take out Corral's scrambling, which, by the way, why isn't he running more? This took forever. Even on that interception, or maybe it was a couple plays before the interception. Thanks to Joel Klatt for pointing this out, but I was screaming it all game of what I don't know. Matt Corral, when he was at Ole Miss, ran the shit out of the ball, right? I mean, they ran the option read stuff. That's what this offense is built to do. And if you're going to try to just sit back there and be a pocket passer, I am a little concerned. Now, he did end up running on that key drive a couple times there, which got him, I think, to 24 yards. But their running backs had 14 carries for 28 yards. That's a problem. I mean, I know both these D lines are legit, but this is the worst Stallions team of the Holtz era. I just want to see how it is. If they don't run the quarterback, which adds that third element, I do think they're very, very, very vulnerable then. But yeah, I mean, I think this could be a preview of the Freedom Cup.
DJ looked bad, 9 for 15. That's not good, obviously. What did we think though about Matt Corral? He did lead that last drive, and he did have a few plays that were turned over. He threw for 2. He wanted to be thrown for what he threw for 255.
Well,
I know you guys are big Mr. Magoo fans with your UFL.
Well, I think Magoo is better. I do, but
I still don't. I still like Corral in there better.
I mean, Magoo looked bad in the one game we saw, but I watched him for a couple of years there, look good, and I watched him at Florida International, and I thought he was good. But Corral, here's the thing: don't make him Dan Marino, because he's not Dan Marino. All right, if you're just gonna sit back there and drop back and throw, don't even make him Luis Perez. He's better than Luis Perez because he's not a lawn chair. He can run. You have to strike that fear in the defense, especially in a league like this. To me, and I'm expecting Skip Holtz to work on that. But yeah, I mean, obviously the biggest play of the game, the 2-point conversion, was a quarterback draw. So that number didn't even show up there in that extra 2 yards. But it's definitely a thing. I mean, Case Cookus, I was surprised he didn't come in the game at one point in this game. But, Corral did win a championship with them a year ago. Now it was more of Adrian Martinez, but Corral started a few amount of games there.
He started the conference championship game. He won that for him.
Yeah. I mean, I still think he's one of the better quarterbacks in this league. But they got to run him more. If he's saying, Coach, I want to be passing the ball more, that's how you don't win a Freedom Cup.
Yeah, he went 19 for 41. He's got to pass it better whether he's running or not. Or they're going to struggle in games like this.
They're not going to fear the run. If Marable and Person and their O-line is blocking like that, the reason why it works when you have Martinez or Jamar Smith or Alex Magoo is their running capability also helps out opening the paths for Marable in Person, but it also keeps your defense honest. The problem with this game that they got really lucky that they won this thing is they were so fucking predictable. I was watching it with my wife and I said, watch this. I couldn't believe Skip Holtz, who I do believe is by far the best coach in this league. I was surprised he kept committing to the pass. Now, and some of that I think on tape though, because Corral had lanes to run and he didn't. I think they're going to correct that. But
I think Holtz is bored.
It seems like all Birmingham.
This team's a little frustrated for him though, because like Corral is definitely not. Every time you hear him mic'd up, he's like, "No, you're not looking at this. They're going man. You got to throw it here." So I mean,
right.
He seems pretty frustrated with the team, or more than normal, I would say. But
one final note before we move on from this game here, and please let's move on from this game. A wise man on this show once said, "Good teams win. Great teams, great kings of springs cover." And Luis Perez, the real king of spring, did cover the spread, getting 3. Worst case scenario for me, because I got the sharp number, Birmingham -3, and I have Arlington Future money line. Just terrible results.
Yeah. Well, next up on Saturday, we had a classic.
This was a beautiful game.
Another 1-point game. The Roughnecks 18, the Showboats 17 at the Liberty Bowl there. I think the Roughnecks have is this perhaps they had the best quarterback in the league sitting on the bench, because the guy look, I'm still a skeptic. I'm not going to buy in on one game, but god damn was he on fire, man. What was he at 10 of 11?
Curtis Johnson did. He's been hilarious. When they asked him, goes, "Hell yeah, he's our quarterback. You see about that? We're going to do it to this thing bucks." Like last week. No way. He didn't win a training camp. He's just hilarious.
10 of 11, 91% damn near 80, but only 80 yards.
That's what I mean. He threw for 80 yards.
Yeah.
And it's like, Tom Brady just came in off the sideline for him for Bledsoe. Like, oh my God, who's this guy?
And this is a team, obviously the Roughnecks. I ate a pile of shit on this one. This was I think it was 11-3 at the half.
Yeah, Showboats.
And we're feeling great about our Showboats. EJ Perry's fucking horrible. Hey, shout out to the second half Necks, because that's what they did. They scored 15 in the second half. Guys, where are you at with EJ Perry? Because you pull up the stats. It's not. I mean, the interceptions are horrible, but it's like 13 of 20, 131 yards. They got to have better quarterbacks out there than him. I just refuse to believe that there's not better quarterbacks out there.
They do on their bench. And when he comes in there, he plays better each week. I don't understand why each team does this. They love playing their worst quarterback they have. And EJ Perry, we can't get rid of him. I mean, he was an absolute disaster. Henderson actually did look good. There was a couple players who actually looked good. Lassiter looked great. He had 9 targets. White looked good. He had 50 yards rushing.
Your boy Adams had Jonathan Adams. What didn't have the typical type of game he does. 5 for 42.
Had the targets though. I know. I mean, that was my favorite prop. I even gave that out in Visa over 57. I know J Mark even tweeted out that looks too easy. And of course it was. That's what happened in UFL. But he did have the targets. He had the volume. I'm going to go back to him again. Like he's looks great. How about that clip though of our guy coach who couldn't understand why the player was in the game, and he's going, how'd you get in the game? Who told you to get in the game? Like no one even checks in with Johnson.
I loved that. Why is he in the game? Did you not put him in there? You're the fucking coach. Come on.
Amazing. And also, side note, speaking of the Aaron Nolan, this was the one I was touting the over for. 2 bad teams over for. Now, this was a tricky one. It depends on what number you got. Now, it's 35. I believe on the show it was at 35.5 when we gave it out, right? So the under is a win, is a hit for our book, even though I had the over. So I'll count as a loss. It did go off at 34.5. Mm-hmm. Now I always say that now, and then of course they had the misconversion. That would have cleaned things up nicely if they, Memphis just could have won and got that 37 or so. But Aaron Nolan, the betting insider there, who gives the most useless information every time. It disappoints me because that could be a segment, you know what I mean, of live, whatever, props. It could be something to do with, what to do with. She just reports like she's just reading the stock. It's insane. But she goes, okay, well, she goes, it went off at 34.5. It was 35.5 a week, and that's the irony of betting. But the over hit. The irony of betting, bitch. What the fuck are you saying? What the fuck is that?
Yeah, I mean,
she just said it was 35.5 all week. Then the irony of betting. And then she goes, it's a brutal beat for you. What do you mean brutal beat? What are you talking about?
I'm not convinced she's ever placed a bet in her life.
I know. It's hilarious.
That's what's crazy about this. Like, how do they not have a better like it doesn't take, like, I feel like at SGPN in the office, we could figure this thing out and actually have a camera crew, an announcer, and someone that actually knows what the hell they're doing. But
get Stormy back out there. You got to have someone who looks good on TV. Us three aren't going to cover it.
That's true.
Stormy does a bang up job. I wouldn't mind J Mark from the RV though. That'd be a good report. Like you open up the RV and J Mark's in there cooking up the in-game bets, giving out all his ESPN bet app props.
That's right.
7-0, baby.
J Mark, do you want any more comments on this bullshit game here?
Well, just to your point, you asked about EJ Perry. You talked about Corral not running. EJ Perry did a lot of his damage last year for the Panthers because he ran. He had 1 carry for 6 yards. He's got to take off more. You're not a good enough passer to not run, EJ. And that's why Troy Williams.
Tell me there's not quarterbacks out there that are unemployed that are better than him. I refuse to believe this.
There's a jersey right over my shoulder here. This dude would be much better.
I could name like 70 from college that I'm like, why don't you call him? Why don't you call him? Why don't you call him?
Well, the former Tennessee quarterback, he should be reaching out to the UFL per Emory Hunt.
Yeah.
How about that guy? I got into that guy. Yeah. You're saying he legit said he should go to the UFL. What do the quarterbacks make again? How much money is it? Like 40 grand, right?
$55,000.
$55,000. So he's going from 2.4 million to 55,000. He could start in the FCS for more than that. These idiots don't realize. They just don't realize. All right, look, we're going to get to the other 2 games that happened on Sunday. The best 2 games, I think everyone would say. But before we do that, I want to let you know the UFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by, Edge Boost. Yes, have you ever had your deposit blocked by your bank right before a big bet? Those bastards. Look, ever needed cash at 2 a.m. for another shot at the tables and you hit your ATM limit? Been there, right? Well, guess what? Edge Boost has your back. Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors. Edge Boost gives you fast, reliable access to your funds, making it easier to move money when and where, wherever you need it, essentially, without the delays that come with traditional banks. And for you high rollers, this is where you want to be. You can move up to $250,000 a day on your Edge Boost Visa debit card with unlimited withdrawals. This works 24/7 as well for instant deposits. Never, ever wait for a wire transfer to clear ever again. And look, it gets better. Every time you deposit into a qualified gambling account, you can earn cashback rewards up to 5%. So all that for no usage fees and no minimum balance. It's just fantastic what they're doing over there. And Edge Boost, it's a debit account that makes it easy to get started because guess what? They do no credit checks. They're not going to find out that you're parking your car 3 blocks behind your fucking house so they don't find it, right? No minimum balance, no usage fees. Simply verify your identity and boom, you're ready to go. Go to edgeboost.bet. Once again, that's www.edgeboost.bet and use our promo code SGPN. And remember, as always, to let it ride. We're also brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet every single sport, including the NBA playoffs. Plus, there's props for every single game. And MyBookie accepts a ton of customers from a ton of different locations, even outside of the States. You can easily deposit, get lightning fast payouts using crypto. So head on over to mybookie.ag and use our promo code TCESGPN for 100% deposit match up to $1,000. That's mybookie.ag, promo code TCESGPN. All right, we are back on the UFL Gambling Podcast where crossroads meet bullshit, and we are here to talk about the Sunday games where these Brahmas, they covered for me. They covered for me, but the only problem is I also took the under. These snakes sold me on the under. I was ready to give out the over with my guy Peyton Pardee, as the OC. The Michigan Panthers, though, take down the Brahmas 26-23. Once again, I think we should just do our typical weekly segment on why the hell was Danny Etling in the game.
Danny Etling, well, he finally got a concussion, which was the worst thing that could have happened to the Brahmas, as we said mid-game. The Brahmas were playing great, and then as soon as that happened, they were cooked. But speaking of quarterback signings, they did sign
Alan Bowman.
Alan Bowman,
who was in college for 9 years. They got a 30-year-old quarterback coming in the league. He's ready.
He played at Texas Tech, right? Michigan,
Oklahoma State. Yeah, I mean, he was everywhere. He was everywhere, man.
They also signed receiver Fazion McClurge, by the way.
Ooh, there we go.
But yeah, so they signed him, and then they were cooked, and then all they had to do was take a knee, Michigan, and they throw a pick six. That's how you got your bullshit cover with your Brahmas, and they would pick six with 4 minutes to go to tie the game. Michigan dropped their own pick six early in the fourth quarter. That was a much easier one. I don't get upset about these anymore because this is the UFL. That's what happens when you start doing that. Like, oh my god, as long as you didn't have a pick, you have to factor in a dumb pick six with 4 minutes to go to tie the game. That's what happens.
Party, pal. I mean, I just can't get over the fact that Danny Etling came in the game. Bryce Perkins is 17 of 23. Someone left us a YouTube comment the other day being like, "Why do you guys keep praising Perkins?" 17 of 23, that's 74% for $193, which is like throwing for 500 in this league, by the way. 8.4 yards of completion, and then he runs for 30 yards and 2 touchdowns on top of that. I mean, he is one of the best quarterbacks in this league, and I think he might be the best. The more I think about it, I'm like, with Mago injured, Corral has not looked the same. Wilkins played 2 featherweights, and now he started to play a real team, and his cha-cha-cha bullshit ain't flying. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say he's the best quarterback in this goddamn league. Are you with me?
Are you with me?
You draw your line in the sand, bet detective.
Is the Perkins the best quarterback in the league? No, I'm not with you on that one. But I will say because of that pick six, there's no way I can sign off on that. I will give Dundee credit there with your man Peyton Pardee. He was hilarious, and he did exactly what you said he was going to do. And say, listen, I can't design anything. These guys don't know any plays. Let's just give the ball to McFarland, who happens to be the best player in the league, most talented player in the league. And he ripped it up, receiving and rushing. And then you hear the interview with him. He's like, this guy McFarland's pretty good. He's like, he's a weapon now. Like, yeah, we know he is. Well, we never did that beforehand, so I just gave him the ball.
How the fuck is it that the host of multiple hosts on a show knew this a long time ago? I remember the first game he came in for the Brahmas 2 years ago. It was just like, whoa, who's that? How the fuck does this? They got to hire better guys.
Well,
I mean, it's mind numbing.
How did they give him the ball only 7 times?
Because they're still doing this foo-foo shit. But I mean, they
had a couple catches at least. But I know,
and they tried to get him the ball on some screens that failed.
They did.
But they definitely utilized him more than AJ Smith did. But still, you fucking idiots.
And it tilted me. It tilted me. It wasn't just a pick six with 4 minutes to go to tie the game, but it was watching Pardee celebrate it like he had anything to do with it. Like going absolutely crazy offense. Like at a clipboard. Yeah, way to draw that one up, you bum. Get out of here with this. But McFarland looked great. You're right. Only 7 carries, 54 yards though. 2 for 21. A couple other opportunities. But how about the YouTube kicker? That's what's kind of great. They show him more than they show anybody in his damn league. It's just hilarious. And then he missed that kick so badly. It was a long kick, but you can't jump cut that one. D damage, whatever the hell your name is.
Oh man, I mean, I didn't tear up my Michigan future, so I'm still looking all right. How do you feel about Michigan moving forward?
They got the win, and listen, they were down earlier, but they were the better team. They outgained them 314, 257. They deserve the win there, but what does deserve have anything to do with it? Anything. So
what almost every team that outgained the other team won except for Memphis, right? Memphis was the one dud.
Right. Memphis outgained Houston, Birmingham because of that last drive, and then the last game wasn't even close.
Yeah. J-Mark, what do you make of this Panthers team, and where are you at with the Brahmas? Didn't you take a future on the Brahmas?
No, I did not. I said it might not be a bad idea, but the Panthers, I don't know. I saw a lot of people on the internet's a little frustrated with the coach. How can he be allowed to lie on the depth chart when there's DFS and betting? Like he gives a shit about your DFS and betting. But it was just crazy to see him roll out with Etling. I was watching the game and I was like, well, fuck, I gave out Perkins' first touchdown. That's cooked already. Well, Danny Etling then gets his concussion. But yeah.
And by the way, this is a pro concussion podcast.
Yeah. Cut to J-Marks. Cut to J-Marks. High five and the wife as the concussion comes in.
We all threw out a group text. We're like, oh, look at that concussion. There we go.
Our tickets live, baby. We're back in business.
Absolutely. No, if they want to keep going with both quarterbacks, you can't trust this team. They're a completely different team with Etling than they are with Perkins. Yeah. And you can't trust them if they're going to keep up with that bullshit.
Coaching. Well, both teams really.
Well, them signing Bowman shows that Etling's not coming back anytime soon, I think.
Yeah.
And Drunken Irishman's right. That was a clean hit all day. Stupid fucking football these days. Throw a fucking flag on that garbage. I mean, look, the future is still alive for Michigan. Mike Nolan's fucking horrible, right? Because for 2 years he's had a sample size of Bryce Perkins. He's like, nah, put Etling in, send him in. So I do think Bowman will probably see the field, but do you think Bowman is going to see the field next week?
I would love it. Well, get him out there. I mean, he doesn't have much time. Why not? I mean, they love nothing but platooning or benching Perkins. So yeah, next man up. And I was saying before, like it seems like they go out of their way to find the worst coaches. I mean, the dumbest coaches.
It's like, why can't they? I was a guest on a show this week about the leagues overall, and I'm like, can't they get better head coaches that just say, like, if we're three idiots, and if we could just sit here and notice McFarland is the best goddamn running back in the league, and he has been,
right?
Yeah, it's obvious. It's obvious when you watch the tape. The same can be said for Perkins over Etling. Like, okay, maybe Perkins isn't the best quarterback in the league. I don't know. I tend to think he is right now. But I can tell you one thing. He is light years better than Danny fucking Etling.
Yeah, but to start him, and as you said, and he was listed as the QB2. I mean, these coaches, I said it in our group thread, it's like it's dinner for schmucks, but for football, this league. They're trying to get the dumbest coaches out there. These moves are just mind-numbing. Like, why are you throwing Etling out to start the game? I don't understand it.
I would just think in your locker room that would put a damper on your locker room, because like if you're trying to win games, you're like, man, in practice you have to know that Bryce Perkins is way better than fucking Danny Etling. If you're a wideout, if you're an offensive lineman, you're a tight end, you're a running back, you're like, man, yeah, our offense kind of cooks when Perkins is a running threat. You know, like we're a much better team. It's got to be deflating when you're like, hey, guess what, guys? Etling, you're our starter today. You know, it's I don't know. It's a big problem in the league, though. They need to address this, and they didn't last year, so I can't count on them to do it next year, assuming there is a next year.
Real quick, shout out to CJ. We didn't have a lot of variance in our DFS lineup, so he was doing some grabs for some other guys and said it before we ended last show to look at Jaden Sheridan, who ended up leading the Panthers in rushing, was one of the best running backs in DFS all weekend. So nice call there.
Thank you. I crushed it in my DFS bench, the lineup I did not play, but I did give it out. I gave out him and I gave out Cornell Powell, who caught that bobble touchdown at the end of the game as well, both for under like 5,000. But yeah, that touchdown run was amazing. Was his first game playing for Panthers for sure?
I think it was. Yeah,
I think it was.
Awesome. He looked good. I mean, he looked fast.
He did. Yeah. He did. This is the next one drives me crazy, man.
Yeah.
But you guys remember last week I said DC. I took St. Louis because of the uncertainty on the coaching front. But in my mind, I'm like, DC fucks with St. Louis. They do. St. Louis is kind of a pussy ball team, and DC always messes with them. Yeah, no, DC's defense is honestly, Greg. What you can say what you want about Greg Williams over the years, like, you know, but his defense, even when they get beat and give up bad, you know, yardage games, they're fucking aggressive and they're always chippy. And a finesse team, which is what the Battlehawks to me have always been under under Tony Meatball. And I know this game was in St. Louis, it wasn't in Birmingham, but yeah, this is the one I was weary. I thought the line stunk. I just didn't know what to make of DC and all these coaching things. I'm kicking myself for this. Watching this, the first drive of the game, I'm kicking myself for this. I'm just like, goddamn, DC's going to fuck them up. And they did 27-15. Bet Detective, your thoughts on this one?
Well, I was on DC on this one. I said it was the gambler in me that made me want to do it. You know, I said that it just seemed like, you know, it was too many points. It's rivalry. You're selling high on St. Louis, you know, who looked great. I just automatically put them in there. They announced that they're getting the championship. Now, how perfect was that? They make that announcement that they're getting the championship, then they get absolutely rocked. I mean, yardage in this game, 346 to 173. It didn't even look that close. I mean, it was just a beatdown. And if the game was closer, they needed that touchdown there at the end by Powell on the deflection. But that's a tough place to play in for DC. I mean, much credit for DC. Smith kind of looked a little bit more like himself there. Tamu, the ex-St. Louis Battlehawk quarterback himself, with a revenge game. I think DC themselves, it's time to reevaluate them. They're just kind of on a mission after a terrible, disappointing year they had last year. They look good. That defensive line is good. Their defensive line is
getting after it.
Easily the best in the league. Kind of reminds me of how the Brahmas got to the title game last year.
What was his name? What was his name that had a bunch? Mincy, I think it was.
Yeah.
Sacks.
He had 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss. He was all over the place. But yeah, you know, that's all you need in a league like this is one unit like that, and you can ride them as far to the championship game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know this obviously DC's look good, but I just don't know. Like St. Louis's wins were against such shitty competition that I'm like, what do you make of this Battlehawks team? Do you think this is still a legit team, or is it kind of a candy ass team again?
Well, I wouldn't. I mean, Battlehawks are still good. I mean, they're dead off. That it was bound to come down a little bit with that offense. Manny Wilkins still had some nice games. Sailor still had some through the air. But it was just one of those games where they're getting beat. I wouldn't throw St. Louis away by any means. At the same time, tough loss for defenders with Ty Scott getting hurt. Well, I want to know when these injuries are happening. It's so weird the way they announce it's like Ty Scott IL. Like what? He was just lighting it up when they can't even.
What do you mean by that? Your back is broken. What? A vertebrae or what portion?
Spinal. When did a spinal injury happen? What are they talking about?
Better luck next year.
J Mark, how shocked were you that the defenders went into that Battle Dome bullshit and put the kibosh on these Battlehawks?
I was pretty shocked, but I think I oversold, Greg Williams being gone. I thought, well, this defense is going to not do well. That didn't happen at all. They played very well. And I don't think it's just hey, this guy was really running a good system. I think these are good players. I think they have the best defense that they have had. Tamu, he's still going to be a frustrating quarterback that makes some great throws, makes some boneheaded throws. But I don't think the Battlehawks are as much of pushovers with Manny Wilkins as they were with McCarron, because I do think he lights some fire. He can run the ball. Got to wonder if the hamstring was bothering him. I don't know, because he didn't take off as much, but they did a good job. Battlehawks won't win if Jacob Sailors carries the ball 7 times for 1 yard. That's not a recipe for winning. And for DC running the ball, I realize you got to get Abram Smith the carries, but 23 for 52. Deion Jackson looked better. He looks more efficient, and maybe that's just Abram Smith kind of getting back out of that injury and getting some of that power and cut back. I don't know, but I think they need to start getting Deion Jackson more involved than just 8 carries.
I agree.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, look, let's get to these power rankings, but that game was probably the best game of the day right there. And once again, the overhit, I was on that, but I was not on the
overhit.
defenders.
And that was another one too, depending on what number you got, because it was 39.5. It went off at 38.5, but DC kicked it was 24-15, and they kicked a field goal with 5 seconds to go, where that was that was a move. Okay. Could have got blocked. A lot of things could have happened there.
Yeah.
They put the game in jeopardy by doing that.
You play to win the game.
You played to cover to hit the over, apparently, because they kicked the field goal just at the over. And me and J Mark were talking about this beforehand. Maybe Barlow and them leaving was the best thing could have happened to this DC team. Who knows?
Yeah.
The fuck is that?
All right. Look, we're going to get to the power rankings, because that's what we do on this show. We power rank, damn it. But before we do that, I want to tell you that the United Football League, where Crossroads Meet Bullshit Gambling Podcast, is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Look, Underdog Pick'em. You can play any sport and win up to 100 times the amount of money you enter. We play UFL. By the way, I hit on my UFL. Bryce Perkins was like 109 or 110, higher than that. And then who the hell was my other player? I hit on it. I'm just drawing a blank right now. Anyway, sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. Yes, they do have UFL. They also have everything else too: golf, MMA, NHL, NBA, MLB. So jump over there and check it out. Promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm is your home for AI back picks and props, and Rhythm is now live for they dropped their models for their model for Major League Baseball. All right, and plus they got models for NBA, golf. We just got done using the college basketball one. Pick so good it feels like cheating. All right, and look, you can build your own model. That's what I like about it too. I like creating my own model with adjusting and grabbing some of their ideas from other models. So check it out. Rhythm has some amazing deals going on right now as well. 25% off their monthly subscription with the promo code SGPN25 and 50% off their annual subscription with the promo code SGPN50. That's RITHMM, promo code SGPN25 or SGPN50 over at Rhythm. All right, we are back on the UFL Gambling Podcast and Power Rankings time, boys. Well, I'm actually very curious who you have at number 8 because I have the Houston Roughnecks. I know there's winless teams out there, but I feel pretty good about my number 8 being the Houston Roughnecks. CJ, who do you got as the 8th ranked team?
I mean, as much as we drag Houston and as much slander we give to Coach Curtis Johnson, not knowing how his own players got in the game, you have to give him some credit for beating Memphis. I mean, on the road in Memphis, you have to give him something for that. 18, 17, whatever it is. And if that's ranking him 7 and Memphis 8, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going Memphis dead last. They're disappointing me. I'm done saying they're not as bad as they look. No, they're as bad as they look. Memphis stinks. All right. They're the worst team in the league. They couldn't even beat Houston Roughnecks at home, for God's sake. Houston gave Arlington a game. They gave, they won. I don't know. Maybe Houston's not that bad. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah.
I got Memphis at 8.
Yeah, man. Maybe you're onto something with Houston.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
J-Mark, who's your 8th ranked team?
Yeah, even if it's only for 1 week, I got to agree with CJ. You can't keep them at the basement. I got the Showboats there because the Showboats lost to the team that we said was way worse than anybody else. We all three said, no, they're way worse. Well, they just beat the Showboats. So you got to put the Showboats there now.
Well, you don't just react off one game. I look at the whole big picture and I say, nope, Memphis is better. I trust them to win more games by the end of the season.
Colby's true to his formula. He always in the power rankings.
The
Memphis-Houston formula he's got.
Well, you got to remember Ken Wisenhunt had family issues. He was at he had that wine tasting event up in Napa with the wife. missed the first game. Paso Robles. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Who's a better quarterback, Nolan Smith or Kellen Mond?
Nolan Henderson, by the way.
I mean Nolan Smith, the coach.
I'll take Nolan Henderson, I guess.
Yeah, I take Nolan Henderson, right? Tell me Kellen Mond stinks. Stinks.
At number 7. Well, I did put your Memphis Showboats in there, boys. All right, now I thought about number 6. I thought about they were capable of number 6, perhaps, but I put them at 7 because I still think, I think their coaching. It might have been better off if Wisenhunt had stayed at that 311 concert. All right, so who do you got at number 7 there, Bet Detective?
I got Houston. I mean, I'm not going to go too crazy because they got that win, but they definitely deserve to rank up to 7. Memphis 8, Houston 7. I think that's those two might be flip flopping all year. That's going to be a good race.
J-Mark, who do you got at 7?
Yeah, I got Houston as well. You can't bump them up too much. It was just Memphis, but they're out of the basement for at least 1 week until the Stallions fuck them up this coming week.
All right. Well, at number 6, we better all have the same fucking team here. I put him at number 6 because Anthony McFarland's on the roster. All right. And this Peyton Party hot shot coming in, I think they're going to utilize him. So give me the Brahmas at number 6. We all reveal that they're 6. If we put Houston and Memphis 7, 8, then Brahmas have to be 6.
Yep. Agreed.
Well, then at number 5, I put the Michigan Panthers, and that's only because Mike Nolan's a fucking moron. I do think that team is better roster wise. I'm like, okay, I know they got hit with some injury bug guys. There's a couple defenders are out, but I'm like that. Bryce Perkins plays the whole game. You got that defense. They should be higher, but I just don't have any faith in their coach. So I got them at number 5. Bet Detective, who's your 5th ranked team?
Yeah, I also have Michigan. Bowman signing up there. They still have a nucleus. They still got the parts there that can make a team. They do some bizarre moves, but who knows who's pulling the strings when it comes to this league of shipping out players and shipping in, But yeah, no, I couldn't put them higher than this, but I think this is exactly where they should be, and I think they're going to be rolling around in between 3 and 6 all year.
J-Mark?
Yeah, I got the Panthers next here at 5. Completely different if Etling gets healthy and they start starting him again. Then I think I might have to drop him down. But
yes, right.
For now, Panthers at 5.
Does Bowman get in there this week?
I think 2 weeks from now, because he's probably learning the playbook. Like, it's probably not very extensive.
The hell's the
right.
learn?
Yeah, that's right. If it's not there, run. At number 4, I got these St. Louis Battlebirds. All right. I think they're still a candy ass team when I watch them. All right. Just because you waxed a couple a couple of idiots, I'm not just putting some faith in that. You got to prove it to me with your foo bullshit, Tony Meatball. All right. They might be better than last year though. I don't know. In one way, I'm like, Wilkins, his mobility is a threat that I think they didn't have a year ago. But then again, he never throws the ball past like 9 yards. So that also might hurt them. So, yeah, I got the Battlebirds at number 4. How about you?
I have Arlington here at 4, even though in my future, I mean, as much as they feel like they could have, should have won at Birmingham, they didn't. And they had a very lackluster game versus Houston as well, scoring like 12 points. So, they have I just think, obviously you're comparing between them and St. Louis. They're kind of, St. Louis offense is still elite, but Arlington I mean, that's a loss is a loss. It was bad. I don't know. I'm a little worried that they might slip off once it takes something like that. But right now, we're still having a top 4. Might even get down a little more. What their future price dropped heavily after that loss. We're back. I think they're back to 8-1 now, or something like that. Something crazy. Even though we haven't locked in at 11-1. But yeah, give me big coach Bob Stoops, Arlington 4.
J Mark.
And I think I'm going to get a quote on my wall here that says, how'd you word that? Just because you whack some idiots doesn't mean I'm putting my faith in you. It's going to go on the wall over here.
That should be our UFL bio show.
Love it. I got the Battlehawks at 4. There's no way they should have lost that badly to DC at home in the Battle Dome. And I think they're in trouble. Either this team or my number 3 team is going to drop another game next week, and that team's going to find themselves in trouble. And I think it's going to be the Battlehawks.
Wow.
Battlebirds. All right. At number 3, the Bat Detective, Bob Stoops is a much better coach than Tony Meatball. I got a little more faith, and I think their D-line is actually really fucking good. I think the defense is fixed from a year ago. The problem is the offense looks like shit now the past 2 weeks. But, give me the Renegades. I think they're the 3rd best team in this league, and I think they have a shot to go to the Freedom Cup. We'll see. Obviously that was a terrible loss because you had the lead the entire fucking game, but no sweat yet. Give me these Renegades to get it done there. Third rate power team by Pick Dundee. Bet Detective, what are you doing here?
I went St. Louis here 3. I'm not overreacting to that annihilation of DC because as much as they were outgained,
blowouts in this league are hard to come by.
They were still in a position to do something in that game. If that ball, the ball doesn't flip up in the air right in the Cornell
field goal doesn't go in.
Right, but if that ball doesn't flip up in the air in Cornell Palace hands, they got to kick a field goal. All of a sudden, St. Louis has the ball with a chance to win it. That being said, they did not win it, and they did not look good. But I'm not going to overreact and drop them down. I still think they have the most loaded offensive roster, at least in the league.
Yeah. I don't know. They seem to always lack physicality to me. I think it's a problem Tony Meatball struggles with, but we'll see. Who do you got at number 3 there, J Mark?
That's why I like Manny Wilkins. I mean, obviously we didn't see a lot of it against DC, but you saw him stiff arming guys, throwing the ball at him. I mean, he's adding a little more of that physicality. And when your quarterback does that, it can fire the team up. But number 3 right now, I have Arlington. I think they are a better team right now. And shout out to Prez. It makes me feel a little sick to say it, but he's looked pretty good. He's made some really nice throws.
Yeah, and then at number 2, I have the DC Defenders. I mean, just because you won one game against them when they had no idea that he called you a bellboy or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, you got to beat. To be the man, you got to beat the man. To quote the great Ric Flair.
They did.
Yeah, in the regular season. Regular season means.
Well, I didn't know we were doing an August power ranking here. Who do I think is the best team in the league? The best coach? Who can I count on week in, week out to make the adjustments? USFL Birmingham fanboys make me sick. What does DC got to do?
I mean, DC. Who they play week 2? They look like shit. They won the game though. Who was it? Who was it? Week 2.
Memphis.
Yeah. So I'm not buying in just because they got the Battle Birds finesse bullshit. Give me DC's at number 2. They look good, but another game removed. See, Greg Williams left in the middle of the week. I think he put together that game plan. Said, "Son, you run it out there." Now he's doing spring shit down in Nashville. Nashville will get you too. Next thing you know, he's at the bars. Having a good old time, not paying attention, not sending his son the reports he should be sending him. So DC at number 2.
All right, well,
number 2, Bet Detective?
My number 2 team, which through my remedial mathematics add up to your number 1 team, apparently, is a team that has not looked good. 2 out of the 3 games they've played. One was a loss to DC. Last week, that false start Perry High School bullshit to get them back for that come from behind win versus Arlington 10-9 was absolutely ridiculous.
Perry High School. That's great. Continue. I'm sorry.
No, that was basically it. I mean, but I still give respect to the champions and the dynasty that they are, Birmingham. The only reason why I have them at number 2, but number 1 is insane. How do you put them?
Oh my God! Please.
I can't talk to this son of a bitch. I can't talk to that son of a bitch.
But yeah, Birmingham, they can't run the ball. They can't. Their corral. That was about it. They have a defense, and they have heart of a champion and whatever, blah blah blah, all that bullshit. Number 2, Birmingham, with a clear-cut number 1 coming your way.
J Mark, who do you have at number 2?
CJ, you're not standing alone. I also have the Stallions at number 2.
Because you're reasonable, J Mark.
Shout out to Drunken Irishman, who said Sternberger said he'd rather be drinking, building the beer snake than playing.
Yes.
Sternberger's hard. I mean, Sternberger was really good last year. He was one of their best weapons, and he has looked like shit all year.
Yeah.
And I just Corral 19 for 41 has me a little concerned.
Made the plays when he needed to.
I don't think they're the number 1 team.
They're not.
Buddy,
prove it. Drunken Irishman.
Well, the refs made the plays when they needed to.
Let me ask you something.
Never mind.
They did.
What are the best 3 defenses in this league, in your opinion? Or give me your top 4.
Good God. No.
You gotta start with DC as number 1.
I think DC.
Right.
I think
DC number 1 defense.
I think Arlington.
Okay.
And I think Michigan and Birmingham. Those 4 are the best defenses in the league to me.
All right, fair enough.
No, my point is that Birmingham's played all 3 of the best defenses besides them.
Okay. All right.
So take that. Put that in your fucking pipe.
Great. No, they're going to look great. As soon as they play Houston, they're going to look great. Congratulations.
Well,
congratulations.
They are the number 1 ranked power team because they're the best damn team in this cockanemi league, right? Mm-hmm. So, look, and they do play the Houston Roughnecks this week, so it's gonna be a bloodbath. All right, and then they're the best team. So you guys have DC. Why is DC power rank number 1 to you guys?
I mean, they've proven it each week. They've beaten an opponent in front of them, and 2 of them they beat down badly. The best 2 teams they played, St. Louis and Birmingham, and they literally belt to ass, as the kids say nowadays. They had the 1 letdown spot versus Memphis at night. They still pulled out the win there. So, I mean, they're the only undefeated team. What else is there to say?
That's perfect. Perfect. Because look, Birmingham played like shit week 1. They didn't know that Skip Holtz. They didn't know that Skip Holtz.
Should have called their coach.
A bellboy.
Should have called their coach, a caddy or something. Whatever the hell he called.
Hey, Pinhead, park the car. That's what he said, right? Hey,
Park
Pinhead,
around front. Yeah. Juice the tires, will you?
See, now that's the problem here. They didn't know they were walking into that shit, and they still almost won that game after getting dominated the whole game. Birmingham's going to fuck them up when they play next. I can't wait for it because you piss Skip off, all right? And that is going to be ultimate revenge right there. Look, Friday night we have the Showboats at the Panthers. Saturday you got the Battle Birds at the Renegades. Followed by the doubleheader this Saturday, not Sunday, the Birmingham Stallions at the Houston Roughnecks. And then Sunday, you got the San Antonio Brahmas at the Defenders. All four kind of, what game are you looking forward to the most? Because there's not a lot of heat on the schedule for this week besides, say, maybe one game.
Yeah, well, St. Louis Arlington should obviously be the best game. I don't like how that's the early game on Saturday. That I would like switched around for a Saturday night game. Maybe that would be nice. Who knows what the stadium situation is there? And because Birmingham, Houston, that should probably be a route. But yeah, St. Louis, Arlington. I mean, it stands right out. The line's 1 right now. So,
yeah, J Mark, which one are you looking forward to the most?
Yeah, I agree. That's the best game on the slate this weekend. And like I said when I was doing the power rankings, one of these teams is going to lose and kind of be in a little bit of a tough spot to make the comeback in their division. So yeah, and I don't want to give my pick away, but I think it's going to be the Battlehawks that lose it.
Well, let me ask you this. Which one will they cook the books before the most with their fan turnout? Michigan, Arlington at Choctaw Stadium, or the Roughnecks or Defender? The Defenders will be probably honest, right? Because they actually have.
Damn right. They're gonna show out. Drunken Irishman will be there. That'll be a great game. Great game to be at.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. Though, if the Battlehawks lose, they would move to 2-2. The Renegades would go to 3-1. And obviously the Defenders will probably be 4-0. So you guys, just give them the championship now, guys, because I understand. They look good. They're undefeated, and they look great when they were called Bellboys. Folks, that's our show. Bet Detective, we'll be back, right?
Yeah.
What are you covering over on the Bottom Line Bombs? Because you guys are killing it over there.
Yeah, killing over there. We just gave out a 60-1 winner at the Masters. If you tuned in there for the first round leader of old Justin Rose, we hit a couple of matchups there. Tomorrow, Bottom Line Bombs, like I said, I'll have a wrestling expert on to talk WrestleMania in Vegas. My man Vince Averill, who does the great podcast of We Watch Wrestling, who will be in Vegas for WrestleMania. And we're going to go. There are lines. MyBookie.ag has lines for WrestleMania, so we're going to give a full-on preview and, of course, a couple of the NBA series prices that went out.
There we go. J Mark. First off, give CJ a follow, by the way. CJ Sullivan _ on Instagram or Twitter, I believe. J Mark, what's going on with the Old Fashioned Football Podcast? Why are you guys having me on the show? What are you doing? What's going on?
Hey, you're always good to bring on for some humor. I mean, who knows college football better? Not many. So, we're talking about the NFL draft. We're talking about these draft prospects. So we'll be covering that this tomorrow. Also drinking a little Buffalo Trace, giving some history on them. Good time to talk about them since they just flooded. So they could use your support by buying their whiskey.
I saw that. How'd that happen?
From floods. What do you mean?
They got that Buffalo Trace money.
Yeah, it wasn't flooded with whiskey.
Yeah, what's going on here?
Well, none of the whiskey was damaged or ruined or anything. So
it's got a happy ending.
Yeah. Just some
how did that happen then? Okay. It was still underwater, but the water didn't get to it?
No, I think they have it built. They're used to having some flooding there, I guess, and they have their rick house built so that barrels are not on the ground.
Nice. For a second, I thought you were convincing me it was fucking Jungle Strike. Remember that game for Sega? Where you just flying with like oil barrels, you're in a helicopter and you just got oil barrels just sitting there. No one knows what the fuck I'm talking about. But anyway, check out the Old Fashioned Football Podcast because they'll be on tomorrow, and I promise you I still won't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. J Mark's on Twitter at JMarkFootball. Give us a follow. Check out the College Football Experience going live in about an hour and a half here. Till next time, folks, this is the UFL Gambling Podcast where crossroads meet bullshit. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.